the loss and the grief, that journey and how to navigate it, I think people just don't know how they're going to respond to it. And I think she's a key example of that, being someone whose literal role is to be an anchor for the nation and a protector for the nation and someone who is literally in charge of its utter security. And it's, now it's a nation that's been compromised by such a horrible loss and such a tragic loss.
Gosh, so coming back to Wakanda, I was there last night at the premiere, and it was unlike anything I've really, I think, ever experienced, particularly, art imitating life. And I think all of us going in not quite sure exactly what to expect. And then to see the characters on the screen, I think, kind of dealing with that same bit of emotion was really interesting. And your character specifically, I felt like we really saw a changed Okoye, like she was a different person than we met the last time and that we've seen. And yet she was still very strong, and she was still someone that we were all rooting for. What was it like to really be able to humanize this character that seemed more like a symbol before than as human and authentic as she was this time around?
I mean, I still think she was human and authentic in the last one. I mean, she had to ditch her husband to save her nation. That was no small thing. It wasn't easy. But I mean, I think, she's going through the loss and the grief, that journey and how to navigate it. I think people just don't know how they're going to respond to it. And I think she's a key example of that, being someone whose literal role is to be an anchor for the nation and a protector for the nation and someone who is literally in charge of its utter security. And it's, now it's a nation that's been compromised by such a horrible loss and such a tragic loss. So it is, she's just in a different time, and it's a question of how she does deal with it or doesn't, what she thinks she's doing right, or does she do it right or doesn't she, and then how she deals with the consequence of what goes down. So I think that there's a lot of things that all the characters have to go through that allowed. The thing that I think is so crucial and such a blessing is that there's an allowance for all the characters to go through things that stretch them and that brings more complexity. And that's what a sequel should do, right? You get to meet the character and like them in the first one, but in the second one they have to shift. And that's what we get to do, thankfully, as representing women and women of African descent, to actually get that opportunity on this platform, to see that shift that almost all of us, we really had to go through something to get through the landscape of the world we were in this movie. That to me is very exciting for the world to see.
And we also see her lose, a lot of us, particularly Black women, like we're so scared to lose all of the things and titles that make us feel important. And we see her grappling with that. We also see her up against an opponent that seems like really, really formidable for her for the first time to me. So was that kind of part of the process, like figuring out how to represent those things that even though this is a fantasy film, feel very prescient, I think, for all of us.
I think that's fantastic. Listen, if that resonated like that for you as a woman, as a Black woman, that's everything to me. You know what I mean? Like, because it is very much. I love that she represents that. You know what I mean? We get to a place in the world where we have to galvanize controls in some ways, because we're not in a world that works in our favor, right? So it's hard to shift, it's hard to face those challenges when they come, because we don't want to let go of things that keep us steady, that keep us rooted in something clear. So I think the idea of that resonating for specifically for Black women, that to me is everything. But yeah, I think that was something that was clear to me as well. Like, she's the head of an army. She's a control freak. You know what I mean? And she's used to figuring out how to get something done. So, that journey of not having easy access to those to her usual routes is something that I was very, I mean, when Ryan sat me down with my arc, I was like, what? Hold hold on, wait a minute, let's discuss this. But then at the same time, I thought it was great for her at the same time, right? So I feeling Okoye in my own being was like, whoa, what? But then I was like, no, this is good. So it was definitely that journey.